Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Channa Vallabha Giri Varadari. Gopi Channa Vallabha Giri Varadari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Channa Vallabha Giri Varadari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 30, the activities of the Prachetas, and we're on text 6. Yes. Yes. Okay. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Kaishishnuna Kanaka Varna Vibhushanena. So the meter is Kaishishnuna Kanaka Varna Vibhushanena Rajat Kapola Vadano Vilasat Kiritaha Brajat Kapola Vadano Vilasat Kiritaha Ashtayudair Anucharar Munibihi Surendrar Ashtayudar Anucharar Munibi Surendrar Asevito Guruda Kinnara Gita Kirtihi Asevito Guruda Kinnara Gita Kirtihi Kaishishnuna Kanakavarna Vibhushanena Brajat Kapola Vadano Vilasat Kiritaha Ashtayudar Anucharar Munibi Surendrar Asevito Garuda Kinnara Gita Kirtihi Kaishishnuna Kanakavarna Vibhushanena Brajat Kapola Vadano Vilasat Kiritaha Ashtayudar Anucharar Munibi Surendrar Asevito Garuda Kinnara Gita Kirtihi Kaishishnuna Kanakavarna Vibhushanena Rajat Kapola Vadano Vilasat Kiritaha Ashtayudar Anucharar Munibi Surendrar Asevito Garuda Kinnara Gita Kirtihi
Ashishnuna Kanakavarna Vibhushanena
Okay, word by word translation. Kashishnuna, shining. Kanaka, gold. Varna, colored. Vibhushanena, with ornaments. Rajat, shining. Kapola, forehead. Vadanaha, his face. Vilasat, dazzling. Kiritaha, his helmet. Ashta, 8. Ayudai, with weapons. Munacharai, by followers. Munibihi, by great sages. Sura Indrai, by demigods. Asevitaha, served. Garuda, by Garuda. Kinnara, inhabitant of the Kinnara planet. Gita, sung. Kirti, his glories. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Lord's face was very beautiful, and his head was decorated with a shining helmet and golden ornaments. The helmet was dazzling and was very beautifully situated on his head. The Lord had 8 arms, which each held a particular weapon. The Lord was surrounded by demigods, great sages, and other associates. These were all engaged in his service. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. Garuda appeared to be an inhabitant of the planet known as Kinnara Loka. Purport. Generally, the Vishnu form is manifested with 4 hands holding 4 objects: a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. However, here Lord Vishnu is described as possessing 8 arms with 8 kinds of weapons. According to Veera Raghava Acharya, the conch shell and lotus flower are also accepted as weapons. Since the Lord is the supreme controller, whatever is in his hand can be considered a weapon. 4 hands hold 4 kinds of weapons, and the extra 4 hands hold an arrow, bow, trident, and snake. Sri Viraraghava describes the 8 weapons as Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, Saranga, Shara, etc. A king is always accompanied by his ministers, secretaries, and commanders, and Lord Vishnu is also accompanied by his followers, the demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and so on. He is never alone. Consequently, there is no question of the Lord's being impersonal. He is always himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his associates are also persons. From the description given in this verse, Garuda appears to belong to the Kinnara planet. The inhabitants of the Kinnara planet have the same features as Garuda. Their bodily features are like those of a human being, but they have wings. The word Gita Kirti indicates that the inhabitants of Kinnara Loka are very expert in singing the glories of the Lord. In Brahma Samhita it is said, Jagat Andakoti Kotishvashesha Vasidari Vibhuta Binnam. In each and every universe there are different types of planets, and each planet has distinctive features. On the strength of this verse, we can understand that in Kinnara Loka, the inhabitants can fly with their wings. There is also a planet known as Siddhaloka, where the inhabitants can fly even without wings. Thus, each and every planet has some distinctive facility. This is the beauty of the varied creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanitavarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidavachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yakripadamaham Vande Shri Gurun Diditanam Vancha Kapadribhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauda Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, read the translation again. The Lord's face was very beautiful, and his head was decorated with a shining helmet and golden ornaments. The helmet was dazzling and was very beautifully situated on his head. The Lord had 8 arms, which each held a particular weapon. The Lord was surrounded by demigods, great sages, and other associates. These were all engaged in his service. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. Garuda appeared to be an inhabitant of the planet known as Kinnara Loka. Dharmasetu Prabhu, he had an idea, this idea that manifested of having Sri Garudadeva here. Dharmasetu Prabhu. There was some other ideas, I think, anyways, there's some other ideas floating around, but different devotees had different ideas how to, what to do with that space. But Dharmasetu Prabhu had this idea. So the devotees accepted it. And Bhajanarayan Swami, through communicating with sculptors in Jaipur and devotees, and also Kanchanbala, there was different murtis, different pictures of Garuda given to Kanchanbala, our Kanchanbala here in SanDiego, Madhusudan and Kanchanbala. And she sketched this particular Garuda form we have here. All right, nice. Vijay Prabhu said it's the most beautiful Garuda he's ever seen. So yeah, so through Dharmasetu Prabhu's idea and desire and Kanchanbala's work and Bhajanarayan Swami and other devotees, Garuda is manifested here. Which for so many years, we haven't had Garuda actually. We've, Laguna Beach, ever since I've been going there, there's always been, and they have a Garuda there, and Los Angeles, very big Garuda. Huge. So we're happy to have a Garuda here now with us. And Garuda has a very unique, right? Very unique. He has a unique, special position. He's the carrier of Lord Vishnu. I mean, it's quite a position he has there. Like there's so many battles in which Lord Vishnu, Krishna, right there, Garuda is carrying Krishna to Vishnu to these different battles in which demons need to be killed and so on. It's a very most exalted position. And as Prabhupada says here, when Garuda is flapping his wings, he says here, these were all engaged. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. So that's there too. Now, at a particular time, Prabhupada, when devotees were doing traveling Sankirtan, Srila Prabhupada said that it wasn't absolutely necessary that they had deities. Because, of course, some of the buses had Gaurnitai deities and so on, but he said it's not absolutely necessary because the books themselves are deities. The books are Krishna, right? So in this way, devotees, in one sense, are carrying Krishna out to the people. And also, devotees are, so in other words, people, by getting books, are getting Krishna's association. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada's association. Like in the Bhagavatam, it says that, I think it's who's speaking to who here, but it says you're like because you carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, Yudhisthira to Vidura. Is it? Yeah. So Yudhisthira Maharaj is speaking to Vidura and say, because you carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead, wherever you go turns into a holy place, right? Where you are a traveling holy place. So through book distribution, we're actually Prabhupada is right there. So we're giving people Prabhupada's association through book distribution. And in this way, just as Garuda is right carrying Vishnu to kill the demons, by the association of Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that the conditioned souls will get by reading the books, they're like time bombs. Someone will read them, right? Then they're gradually, right? It's quite a task actually, but their materialistic, say demoniac mentality, the contamination, the pollution within their heart will be destroyed. Now, of course, in previous ages, Krishna, he would like we have Putana and Kamsa and all these different demons in the Krishna book, and we know what happened to him, right? Krishna killed him. And then in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's coming again. He's not killing them, because as mentioned practically on every Nityananda Prabhu's appearance day, right? Nityananda Prabhu says to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, well, if you kill Jaga and Madai, you have to kill everyone in Kali Yuga, because everyone's more or less like Jaga and Madai, immoral in so many ways, so sinful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kills their demonic mentality. And he has certain weapons, just like here, Vishnu has certain weapons, right? And as Prabhupada quoting Veera Raghavacharya, naming these different weapons, and a lotus flower and conch are also accepted as weapons. Yeah. So, I'm thinking of Balaram, Lord Balaram, when he, Ramaharshana Sutta, right? You know how he, with a blade of grass. So, flower, anyways. So different weapons. Now, also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has certain weapons, and one of those weapons is his beauty, right? His beauty. What are the other ones? The holy name, the holy names, his beauty, his associates, right? These are the different ways in which the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is being executed, fulfilled. His words, teachings, yes, so many weapons. So within in relation to beauty, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beauty, and also in relation to his associates, the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, helping to execute the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we'll speak about that a little later. But in relation to Garuda is mentioned at least, mainly you could say, mentioned many times in the Krishna book, but one particular time in the beginning of the Krishna book, chapter 17, extinguishing the forest fire, there's a very telling, instructive instance that has to do with Garuda. So here, this verse and purport from the Bhagavatam is mentioning Garuda, so I thought we could meditate on this pastime in Krishna book, which is chapter 17. So I'll just read a little bit of that now. Here we go. Shukadeva Goswami informed the king that the island known as Nagalaya was inhabited by serpents, and that Kaliya was one of the chief serpents there. Being accustomed to eating snakes, Garuda used to come to this island and kill many serpents at will. Some of them he actually ate, but some were unnecessarily killed. The reptile society became so disturbed that their leader, Vasuki, appealed to Lord Brahma for protection. So it seems like he was making a dent in the snake population there. Lord Brahma made an arrangement by which Garuda would not create a disturbance. On each half-moon day, the reptile community would offer a serpent to Garuda. The serpent was to be kept underneath a tree as a sacrificial offering to Garuda. Garuda was satisfied with this offering, and therefore he did not disturb any other serpents. But gradually, Kaliya took advantage of the situation. He was unnecessarily puffed up by the volume of his accumulated poison, as well as by his material power, and he thought, why should Garuda be offered this sacrifice? He then ceased offering any sacrifice. Instead, he himself ate the offering intended for Garuda. Huh? Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah. When Garuda, the great devotee carrier of Vishnu, understood that Kaliya was eating the offered sacrifices, he became very angry and rushed to the island to kill the offensive serpent. Kaliya tried to fight Garuda and faced him with his many hoods and poisonous sharp teeth. Kaliya attempted to bite him, and Garuda, the son of Tarksha, in great anger and with great force, befitting the carrier of Lord Vishnu, struck the body of Kaliya with his effulgent golden wings. Anyways. Kaliya, who's known as Kadrusuta, son of Kadru, immediately fled to the lake known as Kaliya Hadra, which lay within the Yamuna river, which Garuda could not approach. Kaliya took shelter within the water of the Yamuna for the following reason. Just as Garuda went to the island of the Kaliya snake, he also used to go to the Yamuna to catch fish to eat. There was, however, a great yogi known as Sarbara Muni, who used to meditate within the water there, and who was sympathetic with the fish. He asked Garuda not to come there and disturb the fish. Although Garuda was not under anyone's order, being the carrier of Lord Vishnu, he did not disobey the order of the great yogi. Instead of staying and eating many fish, he carried off one big fish, who was their leader. Sabara Muni was sorry that one of the leaders of the fish was taken away by Garuda, and thinking of their protection, he cursed Garuda with the following words. So this is what Sabara Muni said to Garuda. Henceforward, from this day, if Garuda comes here to catch fish, then, I say this with all my strength, he will be immediately killed. This curse was known only to Kaliya. Kaliya was therefore confident that Garuda would not be able to come there, and so he thought it wise to take shelter of the lake within the Yamuna. But Kaliya's taking shelter of Sabara Muni was not successful. He was driven away from the Yamuna by Krishna, the master of Garuda. It may be noted that Garuda is directly related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is so powerful that he is never subject to anyone's order or curse. Actually, the cursing of Garuda, who is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam to be the stature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, was an offense on the part of Sabara Muni. Although Garuda did not try to retaliate, the Muni was not saved from his offensive act against a great Vaishnav personality. Due to this offense, Sabara Muni fell down from his yogic position and afterwards became a householder, a sense enjoyer in the material world. The fall down of Sabara Muni, who was supposed to be absorbed in spiritual bliss by meditation, is an instruction to the offender of Vaishnavas. So Sabra Muni offended Garuda, and from that offense, material desires entered into his heart, and he saw two fish copulating, and then he, went out of the Yamuna and tried to fulfill his material desires, tried to fulfill his lust. Now, as Rajandananda Prabhu brought up the other day, when we hear such things, it's not like, all right, great, I'm instructing all of you to not offend such a great Vaishnava personality, because then, material desires will enter your heart. But we should take it as ourselves. We should see this in relation to ourselves. That not, I'm a great Vaishnava. If people offend me, they'll have to suffer material desires. But we should think that I have to be careful not to offend Vaishnavas, because I will, fall, or I will, material desires will take over my life. So that's what we have to be careful in relation to that. And so it's not a mystery. Krishna consciousness, it's a great science. So if somebody is struggling in Krishna consciousness, it's not a great mystery why they are. And if somebody's flourishing in Krishna consciousness, it's also not a great mystery. It's very clear why these things are happening. And a lot of the times, or at least sometimes, devotees, it seems sometimes, they want some kind of magical formula, magical solution, magical, what is that word? Exposition? What is exposition? Is that a word? Exposition? Yeah, what does that mean?
Expedite the process.
Yeah. Expedite. I was looking for like a very flowery very like trying to speak the philosophy in a very flowery way, magical, mystical ways. I don't know, but exposition, yeah, okay. So, how do we become Krishna conscious, or how do we, like I was given the other day, that sometimes if someone's been a brahmachari for some years or sannyasi, how do you, or householder for many years, how do you remain like it's a super magical, mysterious thing. Give me some tricks. What do I have to do? Stand on my head and, eat pumpkin seeds every day for help with my brahmacharya? Well, the secret is, in all in all matters really, is to sadhu, shastra, guru, right? Follow the saintly persons, the spiritual masters, the scriptures. Very strictly, very sincerely, and pray, and of course there's so many things, but or how do we spread Krishna consciousness, right? Let's have a 1008 hour seminar on how to spread Krishna consciousness. Well, you just surrender to Krishna, be Krishna conscious, follow Srila Prabhupada. He gave a perfect example how to spread Krishna consciousness. And Krishna will completely enlighten us if we surrender to him on how to spread Krishna consciousness. So if, I'm suffering from material desires. Well, there's many reasons I may be suffering from material desires. But what we learn from this particular pastime is that because Sabra Muni's offense to Garuda, he had to suffer material desires. So if we are now, or if we may in the future, we should note that we have to be careful in relation to dealing with Vaishnavas. And who's a Vaishnav? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, one who chants the name of Krishna once. And then he says, right, one who chants always, and he says, Asat Sangha Tyage Vaishnavachar, one who gives up the association of non-devotee. So there's different definitions of Vaishnavas, who's a Vaishnava, and but ultimately it's not that, okay, well, I'll respect all the Vaishnavas, and then I'll just go out on book distribution or Harinam, I'll just completely, wipe the floor with everybody in a very harsh, disrespectful way. It doesn't work like that, because Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Everybody is connected to Krishna, part and parcel, therefore everybody should be respected. And aside from, it's not a Vaishnav to, okay, I just respect those who are Vaishnavs. But a Vaishnav is more tolerant than a tree. And as Vijay Prabhu brought up the other day, more tolerant than a tree, he asked one devotee this, and the devotee said, and Vijay Prabhu was wondering how is it that a devotee is more tolerant than a tree? And then this devotee said, well, the tree can't protest. You carve, oh, Mary loves Bob, or whatever dog urinates it on something. You can't protest. But a Vaishnava, generally Vaishnavas are, right, conscious, they can speak, and right, they could protest. They're able to protest, generally speaking, Vaishnavas. So, but therefore they're more tolerant than a tree, because although they can protest, they don't. More humble than a blade of grass. So, in other words, that's in relation to everyone, not just Vaishnavas. It's in relation to everyone. Ultimately, everybody is Vaishnavas. Right? Or you have this by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, when will I go out, in one of his songs, when will I go out with great humility? In essence, is what look it up, but when will I go out with great humility and preach and try to spread the holy name to all the people, right? And this, yeah. So yeah, that just should be noted. And of course, it's brought up many times in talks and classes and so on. But it's brought up many times for a reason, because it's important, and it's not so easily understood. Means realized. So, and also we have in the Bhagavad Gita, Garuda is mentioned a few times, at least. But one particular one that sticks out to me is he's mentioned in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 24. Excuse me. 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 20. Text 24. Dhyana Yoga. So this is Sanishchayena Yuktavyo. So one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith, and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. So Prabhupada explains in the purport, he quotes Utsahan Nishchayad Daryat. We need patience, we need determination. Prabhupada says full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, determination. We need to follow the prescribed duties in the association of devotees, and by engaging completely in the activities of goodness. From the Upadeshamrita, text 3. So determination, it may seem like, well, who am I? I'm just I'm not qualified, and how am I supposed to make progress? And how am I supposed to spread Krishna consciousness? How am I supposed to be Krishna conscious? And these are good feelings. These are feelings based in reality. Speaking for myself. But Prabhupada gives the story, or the example. He gives the example. One should follow the example of the sparrow, who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. Waves of the ocean lost her eggs. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her a pill, so the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. Little bird trying to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. So you can imagine how powerful Garuda is. The ocean's frightened. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Then Prabhupada says, the practice of yoga, especially bhakti yoga and Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job. But if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. So it may seem difficult, right? But just as Garuda helped Sister Buddha, and it's an impossible task, practically. Similarly, we will be helped, right? For God helps those who help themselves. So we see here that by the sincerity, by the determination, by the piety, or by the mood of a particular entity, we get different results, right? Sabra Muni offended Garuda. Material desires entered. This small sister bird, and because of Garuda's compassionate nature, and he heard of this, he helped her. So it could go either way. Now, the last few things is that the part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, it involves us and involves other followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And part of helping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is becoming good devotees. Because when we try to give people spiritual knowledge, we try to give them books, they'll think, oh, this person, I'm very impressed by this person, I'll accept. Not that, oh, the books are so wonderful, the books look so great, but, oh, this person. In other words, we can't be like cavemen or mlechas, giving books. We can, but it's more effective. Just like Navina Nirada Prabhu, when he was here, there's a little seminar he gave outside, and he was saying that on book distribution, people look at the book, they'll look at you, they'll look at the book, they'll look at you, they'll think, if you're not adding up, you're not, if you're not happy and, Krishna conscious and so on, they think, oh, well, the book looks great, but I don't know, you look kind of, it doesn't look like you two go together, right? So it's, that's okay, next time, So we could try our best to do that. And therefore, Vaishnava etiquette. Now, Vaishnava etiquette it's not like, oh, well, all right, it's Vaishnava etiquette to offer obeisances to sannyasi when he walks in. All right, I guess I'll do it, I don't really feel like it, but I guess I'll do it. And Prabhupada said we should even do the Mayavad sannyasis, we'll just speak of Vaishnava sannyasis. But in other words, it's not just some kind of superficial, okay, I'll respect you because you're my senior, but I don't really want to, or something. But or I'll help you because you're my junior, but I got a lot of stuff to do. But it's supposed to be a framework in which we could develop loving relationships in Krishna consciousness to help that come out. It has to come out, just like the institution of marriage. Prabhupada would give the example, when they first marry, it's a traditional Indian civilization, traditional civilization, it's arranged marriage, and they don't really have much, affection for each other. But years, of serving to each other and so on, a relationship develops. So it's a framework. It's said that it's an ornament of a Vaishnav, right? This is the word beautify. Beautify is a Vaishnav. So in relation to one devotee told me that he was a new bhakta, and he was standing before the deities. The curtains were closed, and he was waiting for the curtains to open, but he was reading. And then some devotee comes up to him, I believe his initiated devotee, comes up to him, and this was many years ago, and he tells his bhakta, hey, you shouldn't be reading right now. It's best you chant japa, And then this devotee told this initiated devotee, well, it's interesting because I read in the Nectar of Devotion that it says you shouldn't criticize others in front of the Vaishnava, in front of the deities. And then this bhakta said, the next thing he knew, he woke up on the ground because the initiated devotee punched him. So that's a little not Vaishnava etiquette there, so don't do that. But it's a principle of, okay, that's an extreme example, but so we should try to be embodiments of Vaishnava etiquette, real Vaishnava etiquette, not superficial, which beautifies a devotee, which will help people come to Krishna consciousness. So anyways, does anybody have any comments or... This is a little misleading here, so 12:48. So anyways, we have to change that. So as Garuda and so many others help in the mission of the Lord, we're also meant to help, by doing our part. So that's what I was trying to bring up. So. Become instruments in Krishna's service, weapons.
One thing, there was a verse from the Upadeshamrita, Utsahan, which you cited. So, Utsahan Nishayadaya is enthusiasm, determination, and patience. And then the next line is very important, Tat Karma Pravartanat, because it has to be a context for how you express that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And it's in the, Tat Karma means in all of the regulated things that we do. Because everything requires, especially when you first come, getting up early in the morning can be like climbing a mountain, And so, but that's what it means if you're going to join, So by applying those three to just the regulated things, you build up your determination muscles, because you say, yeah, now I feel I can get up early in the morning. I can do this. I can do that. And then that can also be expanded to, outside, approaching people and doing things that seem to be impossible at first.
It's very low.
Is it too low?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Better.
In other words, you don't believe you can do it, but you do it anyway because they're in the context of doing it. You're within the, you've joined the ashram.
Yeah.
You try to take up Krishna consciousness, even outside, whatever. And so you find that it's possible to do things that you never thought you could do.
Yeah.
Because Krishna's giving you the strength to do it. And I'm thinking of that marathon, that book marathon. There's this incredible thing on Dandabats a few weeks ago. There was a special series, all kinds of things, specials, on that marathon. They interviewed a few people, and then they interviewed Rameswar, and he gave so many descriptions of the internal state of the devotees, of how they accept, because he had to accept it. There's no way out. Dave Mutaswamy also gave one. He says, there's no way out.
Yeah.
In other words, you're there. Prabhupada wanted it. You came, well, I'd like to do another service. No, this is it. Your spiritual life depends on it. So it was a tremendous act of surrender, and it infected the whole movement, because it did seem impossible.
Yeah.
And they all surrendered to it, and they showed. Judy was there. Judy, one of the main artists, she was there also. And no one has any cameras. We figured, just snap it with your cell phone. No cell phones back in '75. She drew a picture of Jadharani, who was like the main art, one of the main artists, and she was literally conked out chanting her rounds after with an easel in front of her, the painting 24 hours a day, trying to chant her rounds, and she was just like, and that was the mood that everyone was in, just all out.
Yeah.
And so that it seems impossible when you make an effort to do it, and every book distributor will say, the whole enterprise of book distribution seemed impossible. At first, the books were sitting in the temples, Prabhupada wanted them distributed, until was it Buddhimanta kind of broke the ice and started distributing it gradually. So it works that way with every part of Krishna consciousness. Reading that book by your Gurudev, was like that. Juhu was like that. Just to live there, Tamal said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we're Westerners, we can't live here, the rats, the mosquitoes, and Prabhupada, don't you want to get purified? I think it was don't you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, just two things about that is that Vishnu John Swami, he's about being enthusiastic. They asked him, "Oh, you're so enthusiastic, Maharaj. How you so enthusiastic?" He said, "Well, it's not that I'm enthusiastic all the time, but I just act enthusiastic. Sometimes I'm not really feeling it, but I act enthusiastic. And then by me acting enthusiastic, I see the other devotees; they get enthusiastic, and then I become really enthusiastic. So it's like kind of working, with each other, trying to help each other. And then last thing is that this, it's a challenge. Yeah, Krishna. If you want to challenge, just practice Krishna consciousness or try to spread Krishna consciousness. It's a great challenge. But one Mataji I remember hearing at a Joshua retreat, Japa retreat. She said, "Yeah, I was like top in my class in college, and I got a wonderful job from it, and I got married, and wonderful marriage, and this and that, and materially, like everything was just lined up and just great, and I was able to, those people, they're just able to be successful. But she said when I picked up my beads and tried chanting, it was just like I was just surprised, for so struggling, to really concentrate and focus. And so yeah, it's not like it's not something material, which if someone's like, oh, material expertise, and they could just get it done or make progress. But it really requires it's completely spiritual, and it requires a lot of determination and so on. So all right, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Garudadeva ki jai.